Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers identified as potential WR trade partner with NFC squad. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in a precarious position at wide receiver in 2025. Most would agree that changes are needed in this area, but does that simply mean adding a better complement to George Pickens or overhauling the WR core entirely? NFL.com writer Adam Rank recommended the latter on February 21, advising the Steelers to trade Pickens while he can still get them a lot back in return. Pickens is another young receiver who could fetch a nice price from a trading partner seeking a true number one pass-catching option, Rank began, connecting the Green Bay Packers as a team that the Steelers should call about a Pickens trade. Pickens has been inconsistent, but the Steelers have also trotted out a wide assortment of quarterbacks during his first 3 seasons in the NFL, the analyst went on. Having him as the top target for, say, Jordan Love would be huge for Matt LaFleur's Packers offense. Green Bay running back Josh Jacobs made headlines this winter after stating that the Packers could use a true number one wide receiver. This concern became even more apparent after the NFC North franchise lost Christian Watson to injury long-term. Could that pass catcher be Pickens? The Steelers also get a chance to avoid an uncomfortable conversation with Pickens when the 2022 second-round pick's contract is up at the end of the 2025 season, Rank continued within his reasoning, concluding, "Let's be completely honest, the Steelers have done a great job over the last few decades of moving on from receivers before issues arise, financial or otherwise." If the Steelers decide to preemptively cut bait with Pickens as Rank suggested, they'd likely have to either sign and/or draft 2 wide receivers in his place. This might seem counterproductive, but Pittsburgh could choose to do this if they feel Pickens' attitude and unpredictable nature have reached a point where they'd rather move forward with new wideouts in 2025. Not to mention, they'd restart the financial clock if they traded Pickens and drafted his replacement. Pickens trade or not, the Steelers have been connected to wide receivers in round 1 for most of the offseason. Prospects like Ohio State's Emeka Egbuka, Texas' Matthew Golden, and Missouri's Luther Burden III have all become popular potential wide receiver targets for Pittsburgh. The Steelers have also been labeled as a fit for veteran free agents like Chris Godwin, Keenan Allen, Darius Slayton, DeAndre Hopkins, and more. Pairing a new first-round wide receiver like Egbuka with a veteran like Godwin would likely provide enough production to account for a Pickens trade, but with less of a headache, especially if second-year WR Roman Wilson takes a step forward in his development. At the very least, it's another avenue for Pittsburgh to consider as they mull their offseason ahead of free agency. During a February 19 mailbag post on X, veteran beat reporter Mark Kaboly was asked about the most likely Pickens outcome, in his opinion. Do you think George Pickens gets traded, extended, or plays out his last year? The fan's question pondered. To which Kaboly replied, the betting favorite right now is letting him play out his final year. I know I wouldn't entertain trading him unless I found a legit number one in free agency, and that might be difficult to pull off considering the receiver market compared to what they have in Pickens. I definitely think it would be a risk to sign him long-term, so that's last on my list. Kaboly's prediction may lean toward one final season of Pickens, but it's important to note that he ranked a trade as more likely than an extension. It'll be interesting to see how this situation plays out in the coming weeks and months. Analyst reveals Steelers' key concern with re-signing QB. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a thing for continuity. They want to be the organization that keeps head coach Mike Tomlin around forever, and that prides itself on sticking with coordinators through adversity. It's why it's so hard to believe that defensive tackle Cameron Hayward would have ever been traded as his contract negotiations stalled in the summer, and why edge rusher TJ Watt is a safe bet to stay in Pittsburgh for the rest of his career. As the Steelers manage to churn out non-losing seasons, the respect they've earned for their consistency looks an awful lot like complacency after repeated playoff blowouts and a place in quarterback purgatory. Quarterbacks Russell Wilson and Justin Fields oscillated between promising and limited during their stints as starters, playing well enough to win games but reminding fans just how far Pittsburgh is from contention. While recent reports suggest Wilson isn't welcome back in 2025, the possibility remains that Fields is next season's starter, further fueling the continuity that defines the franchise. Analyst Chris Sims reveals the Steelers' key concern with re-signing Fields. Again, I like Justin Fields, and I root for him, but I feel like, 1, if they bring Russell Wilson back, the fan base, and I don't think the locker room would be in love with that, Sims said Monday on Pro Football Talk. Justin Fields, I feel like, is gonna leave a little bit of a stale taste in everybody's mouth, too. I don't think it's gonna excite Pittsburgh if they go, we're bringing Justin Fields back to be the starter. If they want to bring him back, that's great. But, I still think they've gotta bring somebody else in there to maybe be the starter, challenge him, whatever that might be. It isn't hard to make the argument that Fields had the best season of his career in his first away from the Windy City. He posted the most expected points added per play, 0.11, and total expected points added, 26, of his career despite starting just 6 games. He also set career-best marks in win percentage added, adjusted net yards per attempt, passer rating, and success rate. Contract price for Matthew Stafford revealed for Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers appear interested in Los Angeles Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. However, if they want to make that trade, not only will they have to give a significant draft pick, but a hefty contract will come with that trade, too. Peter Schrager of NFL Network reports Stafford is asking for $50 million per year in his next contract, a steep uptick in his current cost for a 37-year-old quarterback. The Steelers have more than enough space to accommodate it. Yet, the question is not so much about whether they can afford it but whether they should do it. Stafford had the Rams within a drive of knocking off the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles on the road and in the snow, so he has plenty of gas in the tank. Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports reported last week that Stafford is a first-round pick. With that contract cost, it seems unlikely the Rams will land that much draft compensation. That is about right for what Aaron Rodgers went for at the time of his exit from Green Bay, and if the Steelers want to maximize their Super Bowl window, this is a move that could be their big swing for the moon, but Stafford will need a reworked contract and started to show signs of decline. On top of that, Stafford has often been injured, and with the Steelers' young but still growing offensive line, those concerns would not be quelled in Pittsburgh. And you fan? What do you think of Matthew Stafford's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.